What's up, Horseracing fans? Welcome to a special episode of the Inside Post. This week we have our updated top 10 list for the Kentucky Derby, as we have just passed into late February and just finished up with the Risen Star over the past weekend, and now setting ourselves up for some of the bigger prep races that are to come leading into March and April, like the Florida Derby, the Wood Memorial, Louisiana Derby, Arkansas Derby. We are super excited and can't wait to give you all our updated list. As you can see, Sierra Leone atop of the leaderboard. We will see. Let's dive in. He is atop of the leaderboard for the Kentucky Derby, but will he make our Inside Post top 10? We're kicking it off a little crazy. Going with number 10, Forever Young. This is a Japan bred horse that's going to get a lot of hype, a lot of buzz, probably just like Derma's Jockey. I'm kind of taking the same path as Derma is. So we shall see what he is made of. He's making the list just coming off of Zen Nippon, first race that we've kind of been noted of. Has some pretty good speed. Did it in a pretty good fashion there, and I just definitely going to be the horse, the European Japan horse that's going to get a lot of talk leading up to the Derby if he continues to win. A lot of the buzz around the horse is kind of the pedigree and stuff that this one is kind of meant for the Kentucky Derby, and depending on what you read or who you talk to, this one looks a little bit better than Derma. We will see. We know the buzz horses coming over. Who knows what will happen. Next up, we have Catching Freedom. Unfortunately, this one kind of had a tough going in the Risen. It was on a muddy track. Did run into Sierra Leone and Track Phantom in there. They went really... It's kind of hard to tell if they went really fast, but I think it's set up for Sierra Leone. Not as much as Catching Freedom, but still enough. A good horse, winner of that Smarty Jones. Broke its maiden at Churchill Downs. In the Smarty Jones, beat out Just Steel, who's a horse that just missed our top 10. That's a really good horse. I think this one will, if it keeps racing, as long as it's pointing into one more prep, possibly could see this horse going to the Louisiana Derby. I think is where connections have this one pointed to. Out of Constitution with Tappet. This one is trained by Brad Cox, so definitely one to keep an eye on to see what happens in the future. But I think this is a pretty good horse that I think we will see in the gate and could be a pretty good price horse. Next up, a big question mark around this horse, Timberlake. We haven't seen him since the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Has been entered into the Rebel, which is actually this weekend, February 24th. So going to be interesting to see. He is in a heavy Rebel stakes. I believe Dornach is in there as well. So he's going to be up against it, and we're definitely going to be able to see what this Into Mischief colt looks like. Pretty so on the races. Second in the Hopeful, winner of the Champagne, kind of what got this horse pointed to the Breeders' Cup. And then ran into the likes of Fierceness, Muth, and Locked in that Juvenile, finishing fourth in there. Again, another one for Brad Cox. This one is owned by Windstar Farm, so has the connection piece to get itself to the Derby. I think the horse needs probably one really good win, probably the Rebel. Depending on how it goes in there, we could see this horse possibly showing back up in the Arkansas Derby. Next, the horse has probably dropped the most on our top 10 is Fierceness. We had this horse was easily in the top 3 in our previous video. Comes out of that Holy Bull, got beat out by Hades with a lot of question marks of what are they going to do now. Yeah, the horse won 2-year-old of the year, winner of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile for Rapoli and Todd Pletcher. Did not really do much in the Holy Bull. Kind of, I wouldn't say struggled or lugged, but Hades was definitely the better horse that day on a fast track, and what we were expecting to be a fast Fierceness, and we really did not get. The horse currently is pointed to the Florida Derby, so taking a pretty good chunk off. I think if the horse hits the board in the Florida Derby first, second, or third, we're going to see this horse in the Derby for these connections. And you never know, could be a sleeper horse, especially if it kind of keeps the connections. Johnny Velasquez was on this horse, I believe, in the past 2 starts. So interesting to see going forward if we see any type of jockey change or any type of equipment change on this horse. But definitely interesting. I hate to see horses off of the Derby trail or, kind of picked to be off of the Derby trail so soon. I think, the horse is going to run well in the Florida Derby. It's going to get enough rest to prepare itself for the Florida Derby. I think, again, if it hits the board, Fierceness is a lock for the Kentucky Derby gate. A new one added to the board to our top 10, making it in at number 6, just a touch. This is a Justify Colt, owned by Brad Cox, or trained by Brad Cox, owner Mark DeTample and Qatar Racing. Very, very interesting horse. We've not heard much about this horse. Like I said, pretty light racehorse, as you can see. Just broke its maiden at Fairgrounds. Love the connections of Justify to Scat Daddy, and then the mare of Touching out of Tappet. Lot to like here. The horse just came off a big win, January 27th, in its maiden, going 6 furlongs. So going to stretch out in the Gotham. March 2nd is where this horse is pointed to right now. Very, very interesting to see what we get. If we get a big run in the Gotham, this horse could easily jump up to the leaderboard or kind of get a lot of attention for the leaderboard. 103 speed figure, first time out in that maiden at Fairgrounds. So a huge, huge number for a horse on its first asking. But holy cow, look at, the pedigree alone is there. Justify, Scat Daddy, the mare Touching, Beauty out of Tappet. A lot to like here. We will see what this horse can do going over 6 furlongs. And again, trying that Gotham Grade 3 again, March 2nd. Circle it on your calendars, just a touch. One to watch. Coming in the 5 spot, we have Epic Ride. If you are a fan, lover, hater of Turfway Park, you've obviously seen this horse, whether it breaking its maiden at Turfway, I believe it was 6 furlongs, sprint, or if you watch the Leonada Stakes, again, horse first place in that stakes race as well. Each race, speed figures have improved. Looked really good in the Leonada Stakes. Kind of blew out some of the other competition in there and kind of drove off pretty deservingly. So interesting to see what we see from a Turfway shipper. Kind of, we got one last year, and of course everybody knows the story of the Kentucky Derby winner, Rich Strike. Epic Ride will be pointed to the Jeff Ruby Stakes. This is a Blame Colt for John Enos, owned by Welch Racing. So interesting to see what this one is able to do. If the horse wins the Jeff Ruby Stakes, obviously no setbacks. This horse will make the Kentucky Derby gate and definitely could be a very interesting horse come Derby time. 4th on the list is Hades, the Holy Bull winner, the beater of Fierceness. Pedigree, Awesome Slew, the Shady Lady by Quality Road. This is owned by DJ Stable. Joseph Orsenio is the trainer. Florida bred, and looks like a really good horse. I think the horse was 10, 11 to 1 in that Holy Bull, and kind of did, I think it came up the rail and just easily won. So it looks really good, undefeated in 3 starts. Breaking its maiden at Gulfstream, going 5.5, steps up to an allowance, wins that at 7 furlongs, and then goes right into the Holy Bull, 1 mile and a 16th, and no questions there, easily wins again. Increasing speed figures each time out, so it's going to be interesting where this horse goes next, and to see if it can back up that 97 speed figure that it got in the Holy Bull. We're looking at possibly the Fountain of Youth or the Florida Derby right now as possibilities. Probably wait and see what the Fountain of Youth looks like, or see how Hades is kind of training and leading up to the Fountain of Youth. I can see them skipping it, pointing to the Florida Derby, getting a big grade 1 win, or, first, second, or third in a grade 1's pretty good, and setting this horse up for the Kentucky Derby. Again, one that's improving, one that's been undefeated in 3 starts, always check boxes leading up to the Kentucky Derby. Here we go, 3 to go. Number 3, Track Phantom. Yes, it was first in the Gun Runner, but however, recently in the Risen Star and the Lecomte, the horse ran second to Sierra Leone in that Risen Star and did win the Lecomte. The screen has not updated, but a horse that looked really good and was getting a lot of attention in the Risen Star, probably was the second betting option in there, and just kind of ran into the mutter in Sierra Leone on a muddy track. I still think Track Phantom is a really good horse, and probably will make the Kentucky Derby gate, admiring any setbacks. Right now, pointing to the Louisiana Derby, I think is a great spot for this horse, and probably will pick up huge Kentucky Derby points in there, setting itself up to make the gate quite easily and be one of the top 5 horses for the Kentucky Derby. Out of Quality Road, mare Miss Sunset is out of Into Mischief, so pedigree's out the wazoo there. Looks great on this horse. Steve Asmussen knows how to train him. Trying to get this one to the Kentucky Derby gate. Next up, we have number 2, Dornoch. Good Magic Horse by Puka, by Big Brown. West Paces Racing, Hill Stable, Belmar Racing, 2/8 Racing, Pine Racing, all the owners for this Danny Gargan trained horse. Kind of put a lot of perspective on what this horse was all about. Breaking its maiden at Keeneland, going to the Remsen, winning there on a muddy track at Aqueduct, going a mile and an eighth, beating out Sierra Leone, and kind of set itself up to be the favorite, or, in those early wagering polls as the number 1 horse. Interesting to see where this horse goes next. Speed figures have improved. I think the Fountain of Youth is where it is entered in as of right now. Going to be interesting to see. Could pull out of the Fountain of Youth. I think Locked is another horse that's in that one as well. Also on the notes is the Wood Memorial, since the horse was kind of from Aqueduct, maybe not wanting to ship it all around. The Wood probably is going to be the likelier spot in here, or if they're worried about any setbacks or anything out of it, if they do go to the Fountain of Youth, they have the Wood or even the Bluegrass on their tracking notes on Horse Racing Nation. So that leaves it to old number 1, Sierra Leone. After his first in the Risen Star, did it in exciting fashion, coming from well off the pace. I don't know if his speed figure has been posted yet. Going to be interesting since it was kind of a mudded up track. But like I said, beat out Track Phantom, Catching Freedom, Hall of Fame. A really good loaded field that we did a video on, of probably one of the better Derby preps of the year that we have seen. Does come out of the Remsen been beaten by Dornoch. Would love to see these two hook up if they go back to battle it out again. If they go, Sierra Leone pointed to the Bluegrass right now, which is probably likely just because he's got enough points to get in. Might as well give him one more race before the Derby. But man, if Dornoch can hold off and go and compete against his horse again, let's see it in a Derby prep, or let's see it in the Kentucky Derby, those who going at it. Horse breaks its maiden at Aqueduct going a mile, so the horse has never ran anything less than a mile, so obviously this is what the horse is being built for and is being trained for. Out of Gun Runner with Candy Ride, Heavenly Love is the mare out of Malibu Moon, so pedigree again, stout as can be. Chad Brown is the trainer here, owned by a slew of people, but this one looks really good right now and is obviously the talk or the buzz of the horse racing world. However, we got more Derby preps that could change everything, change the landscape of our top 10, change the landscape of what everyone's talking about just by one race. So we love this time of the year. Derby preps, Kentucky Derby on the horizon as spring is so close. So there's our top 10. for the Kentucky Derby as it is now. If you watch our videos, we are 300 subscribers away from 1,000. Please help us out. Go down and hit that subscribe. Leave us a like as we get closer and closer to the Kentucky Derby, as we will be dishing out Kentucky Derby top 10s, how to bet the Kentucky Derby, and of course, our ever so favorite Kentucky Derby preps of what horses will be entering in the gate. We thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this video. Leave us a like, and again, subscribe.